Hey guys, Nebraska Farm Boy here, and strikes, in my opinion, are some of the most important and integral building blocks to martial arts and self-defense and being a protector and whatnot, because a strike is really involved in pretty much, in my opinion, every kind of self-defense. Whether you want to do gun disarms, whether you want to do groundwork, whether you want to do takedowns and whatnot, you got to know how to use strikes, because strikes are a good way to get you out of a bad situation. Strikes are also a good thing to know if you need to get to a weapon, somebody's too close to get to that weapon safely without them taking it from you or something like that, so you can go in with empty hand strikes, get a little bit of distance, pull that weapon, or whatever you need to do. So yeah, I think that strikes are pretty important. Some people dismiss strikes entirely, say that they're useless for self-defense. I don't think so. And one of the great things about strikes is that you can learn them at home. You don't need a training partner to practice strikes. You just need a punching bag. And you don't even need to buy a punching bag, because you can do the same thing as I did. You could fill a feed sack with sand and hay and dirt, bag of dirt, it wasn't just loose dirt. You fill it with that, and you can have yourself a nice punching bag. This thing weighs 60 pounds, it moves around a lot, so I think, I like that. I think it's good, because I don't think that bad guys' targets usually stay stationary, and it's free. I got all the materials from around my farm. If you happen to live on a farm, that's great. If you happen to know someone who lives on a farm, you can probably get all these materials for free as well. And I just have it hanging from my rafters. Granted, make sure that your rafters are strong enough to hold up 60 pounds. So we'll start by learning the straight punch, because I think it's a great building block for all these other different kinds of punches. The important thing to know about all kinds of strikes and punches is, first, getting your outlet stance. If you're right-handed, generally speaking, you're going to want to stand with your left leg forward, your right leg back. You're going to want to stand on the ball of your back foot so that your heel is slightly raised off the ground. You're going to want to have your hands somewhere between your nose and your collarbone with your elbows close to your side. You're going to want to keep your hands, generally I like to keep them open. Some people like to keep them loosely curled, but I think that open looks less aggressive, so in street fighting, that's kind of important. You don't want to be instigating fights and causing fights, so we're gonna look less aggressive if we can. You're gonna want to have your knees slightly bent, your chin tucked to protect that neck, because the reason you have your hands up here is because your neck and face area are your chief concern for defending against what you want to protect, okay? You don't want to get a punch or a stab to your face or neck, because that could be a fight ender. And really, guys, you're going to have to tweak this to how it works best for you. This is not how I exactly was told how to do it. This is just how I do it now. Some people say to stand on the balls of both feet so that you're up and leaning slightly forward, and I think that's a good idea to lean slightly forward, but guys, you've got to make it work for you. I'm 6'1" without my boots, and I have to have a different outlet stance from someone who's 5'4". Okay, so you've got to make this work for you. So let's learn about the straight punch. Now, the straight punch is going to teach us some principles that you're going to apply to every strike you practice. Okay, so for one thing, you're going to need to use proper footwork and body movement. Okay, so we're in our outlet stance, and the reason we like this outlet stance is because it gives us two ranges and it gives us two source of power. Okay, so we have our front hand, which is our left hand, because I'm right-handed. Okay, so we got our front hand here, and that's what we call a jab. If we punch with our front hand, boom. Okay, that gives me a little bit more range. It gives me more speed. It's faster to get there. Okay, that is what the jab is for. It's for throwing a punch where you see you can throw a punch. If somebody's guarding well and you see an opening, boom, it doesn't matter where it is, you're gonna throw a jab, okay? And the jab distracts so that you can throw in a good rear punch, okay? I don't think that there's any other word for it besides a rear punch, okay? So if I'm gonna use my right hand, which is my back hand, we're gonna go, and it's gonna come in, jab, bang, okay? There's power in that back punch. Okay, that's kind of your knockout punch, if you will. Granted, that's kind of oversimplifying fighting for you, but really, that's kind of how you use your left and your right fist, okay? Comes in. Okay, so that's your range. Now, another important thing to know is you need to breathe out when you strike, okay? You breathe out, okay? And the reason you do that is, for one thing, if you get punched in the gut, you don't want to have air in your lungs, or at least not much. You don't breathe out all your air, but you don't want to have as much air in your lungs so that you don't have the wind knocked out of you. And you also, breathing out tightens your stomach muscles so that you aren't going to get so much damage done to you if you get hit in the stomach, okay? The other thing it does for you is it kind of relaxes your muscles so that you can move faster, okay? Some people disagree with that, but it doesn't really matter. It's a good thing to breathe out. Pretty much everybody agrees on that. Now, we kind of touched on this already, but it's important that when you punch, you don't just move your arm, okay? You want to move your entire body so that you go boom, and you put all of your weight behind that fist, okay? Boom! It's not just like boom, 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 boom. That's not doing anything. Okay? Knock him out, okay? That's, you put all your weight behind by moving forward, you know? It extends your range, and it gives you more weight, it puts more weight and more power behind that punch. And you're gonna wanna lean slightly forward when you give your front jab. Okay, see, I didn't stay stationary there. I went leaning slightly forward. Okay, and you generally speaking want to land almost fully extended. What you don't want to do is miss and then have your elbow, the tendon in your elbow, hit hard, and then you can hurt your elbow. So don't miss, hit the bag, and you won't get hurt. That is, you won't get hurt unless you have your hand improperly aligned. So what you want to do is you want to have your hand in line with your wrist. You see that? You don't want it down here because that's when you're going to get hurt. At best, you're going to sprain your wrist. At worst, you could break it. So keep your hands properly aligned throughout the whole time you're coming towards that bag. Boom. Okay? Another thing to say is when you're throwing a punch, you want to keep your arm, you want to keep your muscles loose, your hands in loose fists, not tight fists. You want to keep them in loose fists until you make contact, okay? So it's loose, tight, okay? Loose, tight, okay? The reason you want to do that is because you want your arm to be, your muscles to be loose because they move faster when they're loose. If they're all tight and tense stuff, they're going to resist, okay? They need to be loose so that you have the speed, and then they tighten so that you have that power to really blow through that, okay? So yeah, I think you guys now have a good idea of how to throw a straight punch. Actually, you don't. You need to get down and actually train this stuff. Don't think you can learn techniques on YouTube. Don't think you can train on YouTube. You can't. You've got to train yourself, okay? That's just what I'm going to say here. You can't learn self-defense on YouTube. You learn self-defense in your basement, okay? So that was our straight punch, but we can change that just a little bit using the same concepts, and we can get an uppercut punch, okay? So an uppercut punch, you guys have probably seen this before on the movies. You know, it's the punch that comes in and up. You don't want to move that arm too much. It stays stationary a little bit. You move it just enough kind of for targeting. But other than that, it stays stationary so that you're actually using your body mass to smash into that chin or whatever you're uppercutting. That's how you want to do it. You want to keep that arm straight. Make sure you have proper alignment with that wrist. And you want to come up into that chin. It's great for if you're short. If you're tall like me, you gotta kind of bend your knees down and come up. Okay? So if we do it on the bag, it's not very easy to do because the bag's flat, and you know, when you target with an uppercut, you're looking for something that's sticking out like a chin or something. But it looks like that. Okay? Uppercut. Boom. And that's great because you can hit the chin with that uppercut, and that's a great knockout blow. It makes the brain hit the top of your skull and you fall over. Okay, that's oversimplifying it, but that's why you want to know how to do an uppercut. Alright, so we can modify that slightly to make a roundhouse or a hook punch. Okay, so essentially it's the same movement, except we're making it horizontal. The uppercut is vertical, this is horizontal. Okay, so we come in, here's the punching bag, boom, okay? It's a roundhouse. It's great for targeting underneath the armpit. That's a great place to hit. There's a nerve center there and all that great stuff. Target the head. You can target low. It's a great way to get into those hard to reach places that a straight punch just isn't gonna cut. It's also a closer range. So if you're grappling and you get a little bit of range, boom, you can throw an uppercut. Sorry, not an uppercut. You can throw a roundhouse. Generally speaking, the roundhouse attacks the side of the person, side of the head, side of the chest/stomach region. You can attack that liver with your left hand, with a left hand roundhouse. Boom. Okay. Boom. Great way to attack the liver. Now, punching with your knuckles can be kind of painful. It's something that I'm used to, though with this bag, it's kind of hard, so I wear leather gloves because I just can't afford to get hurt, okay? I work on a farm and I can't afford to be hurting my knuckles and injuring my hands and whatnot, because I milk cows sometimes. It's just like, oh, that hurts, I wish I hadn't hurt my hands, so I wear leather gloves. However, if you have problems with arthritis, or maybe you have problems, maybe your hands just aren't quite toughened up yet, okay? You can do these same motions, but you can do it with a palm heel strike, okay? So in other words, when you make a fist, I'm sorry I didn't go over this earlier, it's very important you know this. When you make a fist, you've got to close your hand like so and bring your thumb over here. You don't want your thumb up here, you'll break it. You don't want your thumb anywhere. You don't want your thumb inside there. You want your thumb over here. Nowhere else, otherwise you'll break your thumb. Okay, but with a palm heel strike, you're going to want to hold it like so. You have your fingers bent in, because if they're all the way out, you could hit that bag and break them, so you don't want to do that. So we have our fingers bent in, but what we're going to hit with, instead of these two knuckles here, which we generally hit with in a punching scenario, we're going to hit with the palm here, right here. It's actually not that much bigger of a surface area that you're striking with than here, because you want to strike with right this area right here. You don't want to strike up here, you want to strike down here, because that's the bony part of your hand. Okay, and what that allows you to do, I don't even need gloves to do this, is you come in like so. It's the same thing as a straight punch. This reminds me of one other thing about the straight punch. When you do the straight punch, you have your hands like this, and then when you come in, you rotate them, you twist them like so. So, like that, so that they're, can you get what I'm saying here? You have your hands here, and then when they make contact, they're horizontal. First they're vertical, now they're horizontal. We twisted through with that punch. You always want to land with your hands horizontal to your target with a straight punch. So when you're doing a palm heel strike, it's kind of the same concept. Boom! Straight into there with your palm, with the heel of your palm. You come in straight in. Okay, it's a pretty effective way. It lessens your range, okay? That's one disadvantage. It also, I feel, doesn't give as much immediate damage, okay? It can be very effective against the face. Matter of fact, I might use a palm heel strike against the face because I don't want to break my hand on a head or something. A palm heel strike is very effective against hard places. It's very effective mostly against the head. It can be effective down low. Generally speaking, I like to punch down low, but if you have trouble with your knuckles and whatnot, it is an option to come in low like that. You can do a roundhouse with it, boom, like that. You can do an uppercut with it, like that, okay? You can, so really, you can do all these punches, either fist or palm heel strike. Palm heel is easier on your hands. Fist is going to be more effective in my humble opinion. So guys, that's all there is to it. I hope you watched this video from beginning to end, because there was some stuff that got thrown in there at random, and it's good to know all these different kinds of strikes. Again, remember, I have not taught you anything. You don't know anything until you actually go down and train this, okay? You gotta get yourself a punching bag or build yourself a punching bag, and then you can learn how to throw strikes, okay? So without any further ado, this is Nebraska Farm Boy, and we will be back with more strikes, so make sure that you subscribe.